Hello, and welcome to my video. I'm creating a mixed media layout today about this gorgeous young Miss Bee. I start with a piece of basil marshmallow and this really old and dirty stencil from Kaiser, plus some grunge paste from Paper Artsy, and stencil on some roses. You can see here I'm just using my palette knife to clean up some little bits of grunge paste that didn't quite make full roses, plus to make sure that I don't get actual squares of roses on my page, just so that probably has a bit more visual interest than having just these squares of roses. And nothing like watching white on white, is there, as I give my page a quick layout of gesso. That's what it's called. I almost forgot. And I did that so that I could do the mixed media without warping the page too much. You can see I pulled out some distress ink and put them on my Ranger mat there, added some water, and then smudged them on. It's like doing the packaging technique, but in large. I dried them off and repeated that layer. The reason I dried them off was in the hope that I didn't end up smudging them all together and getting a brown. As you can see here, there are some little areas where not quite brown, but the colour has mixed a little bit. These are the photos I took of my friend's daughter when I was on holiday in Phoenix, or earlier this year. And she's such a cute little thing that I wanted to use them and make a layout. I must admit, when I started creating the layout, it wasn't with these photos in mind. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with the page, but these ones fit the colour perfectly and I've kept going. What a little bit that you didn't see in the video was I also got the distress inks and an ink blender and just added some more ink after the packaging technique or smudging had finished. Here I pulled out all my papers from Chamel's Sparkle City range, and I'm just going through finding some that coordinate mainly with the colours. I'm not looking at the patterns as such, more the colours. I'm wanting some pinks and some blues. And I decided that because the page was a bit warped, I needed to actually stick it completely to the blue paper to just give it a bit more thickness in the hope that it made it a bit sturdier. You can see I've used a lot of double-sided tape, but by pulling the corners back, it just allows me to fix it into shape first and then pull out the tape in the hope that I've got it nice and centered. And I'm just trimming off the blue so that I've got this fine little blue around before I actually mat it on some pink. Originally, when I was looking through this, my idea was just to put it on the pink, but I felt I just needed that little touch of blue to just, I don't know, make a contrast between the pink and the patterns that I created. Originally, I had thought about cutting the photos individually, but I kept them in these strips and then I've just layered them on some pink paper from the Chamel range. And then I thought, no, actually I should have had them in a square, so I've matted them again on the blue and cut them or done it so that they're in a square. I'm working with one large square of 4 little photos. I did pull this paper out to make a bit of a layer, mainly because of the colours. Ice creams, nothing to do with the photos all the time, but it's just the colours that I'm looking at. And that's the reverse side, which works as well. No rhyme or reason really, I'm just thinking, where does it work, where do I want to... Oh no, I remember. What I was really doing was covering up one area that I didn't quite like on the white background, and I needed to make sure that got in the right place there. As you can see, I think I've decided not to put the pink paper in after all. Big lot of fun foam there just to add a bit of dimension, which allows me then to add some embellishments behind it. in one of my subscription kits from Felicity Jane was this stamp set, and I really did like the single and the group roses. So after stamping them a number of times, I pulled out some distress ink, and as you can see, I've put that onto a stamping block, added some water, and I'm using that to paint in the flowers. Thankfully, with the magic of editing, you don't have to sit and watch me paint all of these flowers, but I use some pink and some purple and some blue, and there you go, I've painted them all. And once again, I sit there for a while, fussy cutting, but I'm not going to make you watch that either. Why did I use those colours? Well, just to tie in with my layout, really. I know it's not very often you see flowers with blue leaves. Would be a bit worried if they did have blue leaves, but it works with my colour combination, and that's what I was after. As you can see when I'm fussy cutting here, I keep my scissors still and rotate my image constantly. Just helps with having a smoother cut. Well, that's what I think anyway. You can also see here I've got a couple of flowers that I painted previously for a card that I was making, and I used actually some shimmer spray to paint those, and it just gives another contrasting colour. So I've stuck down the photos, they're not going to move, and now I'm going to make some clusters using these little rose flowers. I also used these because I thought the flower did resemble the rose in the stencil that I used in the first place. You can see there I just cut some of the clusters apart so that they fit in and I can layer them. Some of these are going to have some fun foam behind them, and some are going to be completely flat. Now that I say that, I think I put some fun foam behind some of them. I'm not sure. We'll have to watch and see what happens. I also pulled in some thread just to add behind a couple of clusters. Well, one at the moment. And I'm building around on that diagonal, which is the opposite diagonal to the original stenciling and grunge paste. I am also going to start another one here, mainly because I didn't like the way the ink had smudged and run. I thought, well, I'll cover it up, and it gives me just a spot to put another one. I've incorporated some thread into that embellishment cluster as well. And then I pulled out these letter stickers from the Sparkle City range, and great title, Miss B. That's all it's going to be, I think, from memory. And I actually don't include a lot of journaling, but I do decide to have another little rose at the bottom there just to finish off with. Oh, that's right. I pulled out the embellishment pack from the Sparkle City range and had a look at it. It wasn't a lot that I wanted to use, but these birds I thought just added a nice little touch to the little clusters. They were the right colours, which is the main reason I've used them, and they fit with a cute layout about a little girl. And adding some enamel dots just to finish off, and that's it really. So quite a very pink, blue and purple layout. I hope you've enjoyed it and maybe found a little bit of inspiration to pull out some distress inks and some stenciling. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you like my layouts, to subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again. See you later. Bye.